Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Black Advancements, the Female Voice Zoomcast. I am Shanice.
I'm NECA.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Takara.
All right, ladies, we're going to get into our topic. Here's our topic. All the single ladies, after the degrees, where do all the Black men go? So we'll get started. So you know this is a valid topic. We're going to get started with some statistics. Take it away, NECA.
All right. So the statistic I'm bringing today for us is that for Black people from ages 25 to 34, there are 92 never married Black men for every 100 Black women who have never married. But when we take into consideration employment status, that number drops drastically to 51 employed Black men for every 100 employed Black women.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a problem.
Yes, it is. Yes. So that leads us into our first question. Would you consider dating a Black man not on your educational or professional level? Whoever wants to take that can go ahead and go first.
Yes, I would. So I would date him. If it depends on what that level is. But yes, I would date somebody because like I do, I am a nurse practitioner, I make six figures, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't date a police officer or a teacher. They are a professional. So I guess technically it's cheating a little bit, but the educational level might be different. They may have a lesser degree than I do. They may have make less money than I do, but that doesn't devalue what they do for a living, or it doesn't change anything about their character.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. Now, when we think about what NECA just talked about with those statistics, we don't have the specifics about when you say like, there's only like 58, employed men to 100 employed women.
51.
51. See, now the problem therein lies, well, we don't even know what jobs those men have or don't have. So that would change, maybe potentially who I might date that might be not on the same professional level. That could potentially change my answer. But the short answer is yes. But under certain circumstances, I have to say the answer might be no.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to answer that one?
Yeah, I can jump in there. So I definitely will date and have dated men who are not on my educational level. I have a master's degree, and that's not an issue as long as they are gainfully employed and financially stable. I think that is okay with me. I personally am allergic to broke. So I can't date anybody who is not living well. But, as long as they're financially stable and they can keep up with the things that I like to do, I have no problem.
All right.
Well, I kind of have a follow-up question to that. What qualifies as broke is kind of a good follow-up question for you.
Yes, that's a good one, Lauren.
So, okay, to me, somebody who is living check to check and does not have any excess funds to have fun with. I'm somebody who likes to travel a lot. I like to do a lot of different things. My entertainment budget is pretty hefty at times. So I think if you are struggling to make ends meet, barely able to pay your bills, and don't have anything left over to play with, then we're probably not going to be a good fit.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that I have, and I would date somebody that was at a different educational level, but I do think the whole extra money left over thing is probably the kicker. I think that, for a long period of time, if you want to stay together, I think sometimes if you're not at the same level in terms of fun, hanging out, the entertainment budget might not be the same, that can create problems in the long run. So I could see how, a woman with a good career might have a difficult time over the long run with somebody that doesn't have the kind of funds that they would like.
Yeah. All right. And this is all hypothetical for me. because I am married and I did find my spouse in college. So I did not date outside of college. So, but this hypothetically speaking, would I date someone that is on a not as the same professional education as myself? I would say yes, because I know how systematic racism is. So as long as you're putting in the work, you're doing your job, you're going up and you're trying to make a living for yourself, I'm okay with that. As long as I don't have a fourth child, that's where I would draw the line, because I'm not going to take care of you. You have to go out and do what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to, and you don't have to provide all the income. We can work together, because I think love can do marinated things, a lot of different things. But yeah, so as far as that goes, as long as they're doing their part, they have their stuff together, and I'm not being mama to them, then I'm okay. Because I don't want any more kids,
Mhm.
and in the sense of that way, I don't want to be your mama. You need to be a man. So that's my opinion on that. You bring it in, you do what you got to do. You just need to be a man about it.
So does that mean like if he's maybe making less money than you, you're okay with paying for your vacations and when you go out to eat and all of those things? Like,
Um,
what do you define as being a mom to him?
I mean, meaning I'm taking care of you. You're on, you don't have enough income to kind of take care of yourself, or you're expecting me to do every single thing. You're not paying your part. If it's just pay the electricity bill and that's all you have to do, I'm good with everything else, then that's fine. Long as you're putting something in, I'm okay. And I'm like, I don't want to take care of a man.
But what about the influence of perspective? Like I think sometimes, when you have, I don't know, but when you have gone to college, you have a certain kind of perspective from the work that you did when you were in school. So do you think that plays an impact in terms of like your world perspective might be different?
That's a good question, Lauren, because that is true. The conversational level may be a little different.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of stumped on that one.
It can be. I think it depends on how, I guess, intelligent the person is and
Yeah,
how interested they are in like, expanding their world. Do they read a lot? Do they travel a lot? Or are they just, stuck in this small place where they've grown up and what they know is what they know? So I think they don't necessarily have to have gone to college
yeah.
to have, a similar mindset, but they definitely have to be open-minded and a little,
But
open to
maybe what
learning
you're
about
looking,
other
what you're
cultures and
talking about,
experiences.
like NECA, is like having ambition. Like if we kind of have equal ambitions, even though, like you said, you may be more of an entrepreneur. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
if you're dating somebody who's an entrepreneur and he makes a decent living and he can take care of himself, even though, I'm college educated, like there's lots of people who, have very successful careers and businesses, even though they didn't go to college. There's trade
Right.
degrees. I mean,
Yeah.
you could be doing HVAC, you could be doing plumbing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, the quote that I got from the electrician to, put like to change, like switch out the lights in the back of my house. I mean, it's like $800. That's more money than what I make an hour.
Yeah. Or auto mechanics. Like, yeah, there's a lot of different places where people could be successful.
Yeah. So I mean, there's lots of that, like you say, like it's having the same, like I think ambition might be a big part of, like you say, how we might choose, if you are college educated. But I agree also about what Shanice is saying, like with the conversation and stuff. If it's kind of dead and you feel like, like you say, you're not on the same level, like that can, be a turn off when you're dating somebody that you thinking like, you talking to them, or you going, like you said, you over dinner and it's not a stimulating conversation. That could be like a turn off, like, and kill the relationship. Like,
But ladies, we do have to also think about the fact that, it's a lot of people that have master's degrees that's broke too.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
And that's
Right.
Or they are not because I mean, I think you bring up a good point about travel. Like, they may not be travel, they might be paying off student loan debts, they might, have not be that stereotypical thing of what you think a college grad should be. So that's also possible as well, for it to be the other way around.
And you never know who you're building up to, because I know that due to systematic racism, a lot of Black men, they're felons, so they can't get those opportunities that would be afforded to other people. So you might be building the next, entrepreneur or something, like, because you stuck by them.
But
And
he's a felon though?
Yeah, I'm not okay with felons. I'm sorry. Like, you may have turned your life around, but I'm gonna bow out.
I don't know.
See, that should have been the real question. Are you willing to date a felon?
Right.
So that for lockup.
But you never know too, because I work in the education system. I see how Black men are done in the educational system. And so to say that you won't date someone because of the impact of what they've been through, that kind of limits your dating pool. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of men out there that can hustle, can work hard, can do whatever. So I think, personally, this is just my personal opinion, I just think that if you say you won't date on your educational professional level, you are limiting yourself, because you never know who you're building up. You never know, and knowing our society. No, I know. I'm not trying to encourage you.
I'm gonna be able to date no felon. I don't know.
And I also feel like, there's a point where people are working on themselves and they're building up. But at this point, I'm 40. So I feel like, in my 20s and my 30s, I was a little bit more lenient. Like, okay, we're working on stuff. You're getting there. If you're now in your 40s and you still don't have a pathway, you still don't have it together, it's becoming a problem with this. I can't keep working with you.
But I mean, like, on Shanice's thought, I get where she's coming from, because, okay, how did you get to felon status, right? Like, there could be a series of unfortunate events. And when you think about the justice system, you could be a felon by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. There could be a series of unfortunate events that lead you there. Or you could have made bad choices when you were very young and charged as an adult, and then you have a felony, and then, maybe you did turn your lives around, because those people often do, have the opportunity to, maybe start businesses, or, are often those people maybe who can get those trade, develop a trade and really have a very successful career there, but are you a repeated felon? Are you somebody who is on your third strike? Are you somebody who continues to make poor choices your entire life and you keep going back to jail? I mean, that a career felon versus somebody who either made a mistake versus somebody who, made poor choices as a young person, or, and we all know that there are people who are in jail, maybe not as many as who claim to be there for the wrong, the wrong, like that it was like an unfair situation. Like, sometimes people are not guilty and end up, in prison. So, I mean, it would depend on the circumstances for me and what is that person doing in their life now. Like, if we can date and things look, like, okay, this is promising, there's some potential here, I wouldn't be opposed to dating a felon. But I do understand the overarching concern of dating one.
Yeah, and that's when I was talking about a felon, I was talking about someone that in their youth, because when I said, like, I work in education, so I see how they can treat young Black males and how it's conditioned from school to prison pipeline, and that's real. So there are a lot of young Black males that make mistakes when they're young. However, that doesn't mean they can't turn their life around. Yeah. All right. Lauren,
I mean, I agree. I agree. But but the important thing is, like you say, for people to know what they want and what they don't want. And like you say, like if you clear about that, hey.
Clear.
Right. Be right.
Yeah.
Right. You clear about it, be clear about it,
Yes.
But
I empathize and I understand, but
it's not for you.
No, yeah, I understand.
I just feel like I would rather date somebody that was not college educated, not having a lot of money. Like all those things are okay for me. But if you say felon, I'm thinking, okay, what does that entail?
Selling weed could be a felony. You know what I'm saying? Like when you were 15 years old and you sold some weed and you got caught and you got put into the maybe 18, because you're not.
Is he on probation still?
No,
or is he out?
No, I'm
right. That's gonna be a thing.
These are the
Can
questions
he
I
travel?
have.
Can he get a passport? Can he leave the
vote?
state? I mean,
Can he
all of those
vote?
things, right, would be important. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Good conversations, ladies. All right. So on that note, we talked. Would you date someone outside of your race if necessary? Because, Neka, did you read the part how it goes up?
Oh yes. Okay. So the statistic we talk about where there is only 51 employed Black men for every 100 employed Black women. When we look at white people, Asian people, and Latinos, it's pretty equal. It's 100 employed men for 100 employed women. So they don't tend to have the same disparity that we do in our community, unfortunately. And we know why all of this is the systemic racism that goes on in this country. But it's a huge issue, and it does make it harder for single women who are looking for men who are employed to a certain level or financially stable to find a partner of the same race.
All right. So would you date outside your race if necessary? Like if you were looking and old dude over there, he's Asian, but he's on your same educational level, he's on your same professional level, would you date him? Or would you be?
I most definitely would. I have dated outside of my race. I would. I'm single. I will. I have no issue with it. What looks good, looks good. What acts right, acts right. And, when we look at the statistics, it's not boding well for us just looking within our community. So I think we need to find love where we can find love. Of course, my preference is always going to be for a Black man, but am I going to be a martyr and die alone because I can't find one? Yeah.
All right, anybody else want to take that one?
I'm on the fence. I've never dated outside of my race.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have always, I think, just made kind of just in the back of my mind, just had this thought that we might be too far apart as far as values and morals and just like that, just be too far apart culturally. And he might not get my jokes, and we just he won't understand the Black experience, blah blah blah. It's probably all of this kind of stuff that might just be made up in my head that I really and the trouble with that is I really don't know. I mean, I have lots of friends that are outside of my race? Yes. I have a very diverse group of friends, but dating somebody outside of my race, I don't know. It just never appealed to me. And I don't know if it would. I don't see it being as something that would work for me, but maybe it's something I need to consider.
Interesting. Lauren, did you want to take this one?
Yeah, I am in general attracted to the Blackness of a man. So I like the way muscles look when they're Black. I like the way just Blackness that is attractive to me. So a lot of times when I'm looking at men, I find Black men attractive. Is it impossible? Would I not you know, is it impossible for me to date outside my race? No, I don't think it's impossible, but it's just that I'm attracted to Black maleness.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So
Um,
yeah.
hypothetically again, hypothetically, how far away from the Black spectrum matters to me. Like,
Are they
I can,
brown, like a
I
light
can date,
tan?
I can date Latino, I can date Asian, I can date Indian, like Indian, Asian, you know, Native America, whatever. I'm okay with that. But I don't think I can bring myself to date a white man just because there's so much ingrained in me as far as how the cultures are two, like, on different ends of the spectrum.
What if
So
he was raised around Black people?
it doesn't matter. You still white.
Like he's gonna know about all your music. He might know how to dance, like, you know,
Yes,
how we
you know,
do.
and I know there's some fine vanilla man out there, but personally, I will not date a white guy. I just can't bring myself to do that. I'm
He might
sorry.
get a fitted hat, you know, he might have the jeans, like the
Right, girl,
whole
she trying
thing.
to
He might,
convince you,
You
girl.
try to
She like, listen,
advertise it.
right.
No, but yeah, like Puerto Rican, definitely. Puerto Rican, I feel like they're closest to us as far as their culture goes. But yeah, I can't date as far as a white man. I can't go that far down the spectrum. Everybody else, hey, open game. Anyway, but no, but as far as a white man, I couldn't do it.
You don't want to see him down on at the Capitol building at the insurrection.
Definitely
Oh,
not.
girl.
Definitely not.
Mm,
Mm-mm.
mm, mm, mm.
Mm-mm. Especially a white Trump supporter. Come on now.
Right.
Yeah, no,
That's the problem.
no. If
No.
you way too, that's way too out
No.
of touch for me. It's like,
Right.
nah, this not, nah. It's one thing, like you say, to be friends with somebody who's a Trump supporter, but we aren't commingling. We aren't
Yeah,
having a household together. We aren't talking about marriage or kids or, so it's like, how can you be, to me, it would just, yeah, it would be too culturally like separate. Like, nah, that would be a deal breaker. Like, mm-mm. If you was a Black Trump supporter, like, nah.
yeah, that's the point too.
Like, yeah, no, Trump supporter, no, nope,
Yeah,
for so many
I think
reasons.
when you talk about culture, you know, you have to kind of think about what things we're talking about and what is your ultimate goal. Like if you want to have somebody to date, you want to go out to a nice little restaurant with somebody, that's one level of it. But then it's like, okay, but do you want to marry and have children with this person? You
Yes,
know, that
that's a good
that would be
question.
very different.
Yeah, I agree with that because it's a difference between dating and being married to somebody outside of your race. So you have to deal with families accepting one another. You know, do I want to always be seen as the Black girl? You know, or
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely something, because when you get married, it's way more than dating. It's, you're gonna have to have kids with someone. Okay, now I have to decide what race will my child be, and I've dealt with families that because the one of them is white, then that child is white. You know what I'm saying? Or if one of them is Black, then of course that child is Black, and so that's a whole nother issue. But again, for me, love is love, and if you're willing to have go through that's fine. There's no judgment here, because that's a choice that you made and you're okay with it. Personally, I think if I truly, truly, truly love you, it won't matter what your race is, so
I think so many Black women are hesitant or resistant to dating outside of their race. And I think that's part of what holds us back from finding soulmates and life partners, unfortunately. So I personally would like to see people more open to dating outside of their race. I think there's a lot of socialization that goes into play of Black women being super, super loyal to Black men. And it doesn't work in the other direction quite the same way. And so you know, people
Yeah, that's
say,
the
oh,
issue. It's almost like there's always this power struggle, sometimes, like you say, with Black men, especially like you say, as we become more successful, which now, like, with the statistics that you're saying, but even if you just, like you can kind of just look around and see that Black women are like taking over. We are like the, I believe like we're like the, becoming like the most educated demographic. And, as far as like entrepreneurs, like our numbers are like through the roof as far as us starting businesses and taking over. But, and I think that may threaten, Black men. And then the trouble is I don't understand why they won't just take that and motivate them to go and do better. I mean, this is how we got here, like as women, like this is how Black women got here. We decided we wanted to, show up and show out. So we did, we decided to get degrees and start businesses and do all these things. Like those were things that we wanted to do. So, we did it. And there were also times where I think, with Black women and being single parents, some of them maybe even felt like they didn't have a choice. They had to do those things to, provide a good life for, their children, their family, especially if the man is not absent or he's, sometimes there. But, my other thought too with, dating, and being like, educated and successful and dating somebody on my level is like, you know, I would be okay with dating somebody that's not on my level, but he's got to have the confidence as well, because that's often an issue. It's like, well, this is not a competition. If we both holding our own in our, tax bracket, what is the problem? But we can't fix that for them. When I'm dating somebody who is competing with me, it's not going to work because he got his own stuff he need to deal with, and that don't have anything to do with me.
right. They definitely have to be secure in themselves.
Yeah.
And especially if, you're making more money or you're, farther along professionally than them, because that is the issue that comes up. And I think a lot of men try to act like it's not an issue, but it becomes an issue, and it comes out. And I've had this happen when I'm dating men, and it does start to feel like a competition. It's like, we shouldn't be in competition. I'm here in my lane, you're there in yours.
Right.
It's not, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing.
Now, we have to acknowledge sometimes we do that as well.
Yeah.
As women, we will say what men should and should not be doing. And, because we're successful, sometimes we do down them as well. So that's the other side. I'm always looking at the other side, because a lot of times they are saying to us like, oh, y'all are so independent, you're so, you can do everything for yourself. And it's like, well, why are you even in a relationship if you so strong and independent? And so I think sometimes, our goals or the way we think about things is maybe different from the way they think about it as well.
And I think, yeah, that's a good point, because I think a lot of men are socialized to think that the most important thing they're bringing to the table is like money.
Yes.
And, financial security, being able to support women, being able to buy things for women. And, for me, that's not really the most important thing that I need from a man. So it's not like, oh, you have this, and that. What can I do for you? It's more about companionship and having a life partner and connecting on a different level. It's not necessarily about throwing money at me. That's not it.
Right.
That's a very grown person perspective. I
It
think, when we were in our, 20s, whatever, and we were kind of thinking like, oh, he got this, he got a nice car, he got that. We get attracted to shiny things sometimes, and you might find out that whole lifestyle is financed by scamming or something, so you have to watch out.
He back.
Yeah, there you go. Bring it back to the
girl. Yeah, my thing is I want somebody who I am compatible with, but who is not going to bring down my lifestyle.
Yes.
If, I want to keep doing things the way I like to do them. And if they can rock with it and we could move together, that is awesome. They don't need to buy me everything, pay for everything. They need to be able to hold their own, and we can continue moving the way I like hopefully the way
My dad always told me that growing up. He always said, you do not need another person to bring you down. You can
Yeah.
ruin your life by yourself. You can get broke on your own.
Yep.
You can do that for yourself. You do not need another person to do that.
all by myself.
But
Yep,
it's like, but
that's
it's
what I'm thinking that I can do that all by myself.
yeah. But that also, like, you know, it definitely affects my perspective on dating and like finding, you know, a husband. Is like, you know, being raised with both parents in the home. My father was definitely the you know, the breadwinner, and I mean, I was, you know, definitely like, I'm still, you know, at 39 a daddy's girl, like, for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I was, you know, treated that way, and I have an older brother and my grandfather, and like all the men in my life, I was always treated that way, you know, with you know, that men do take care of women and stuff, but I was also like independent on my own, and also my family supported that part of me to be, you know, independent and chase my dreams and be able to take care of myself. So with dating, I agree with you, with, you know, like how Nick is saying, like, it's not just about money, it's also about companionship and having somebody that's emotionally available.
Mhm.
Like, my father is definitely somebody who, you know, he paid all the bills, but he was present. You know, he was not just like off working and absent and just, you know, it was like, oh, I'm just getting gifts and money and stuff, and you know, like he pays the bills, but he was present in me and my brother's life. So that does make a difference. And money is, I always look at it like money is on the list. And I'm the same way when I'm looking for a job. Like,
Mhm.
money is definitely on the list in the top 5, but it's not number 1, because money does not equal happiness.
Yep, and I agree with you 100%.
But it's part of it.
Yeah,
It's definitely
yeah.
part of it. Like you say, like, I'm not trying to, you know, be living, you know, and, you know, below my means to make somebody else happy. Like,
Right, right, right.
yeah, I
100%.
mean, you know,
A
you
lot
can
of
move in with me, you know, you could bring stuff to the table, and you know, like, you might not be able to afford this house. If you can move in here, if you got the confidence and you comfortable in your lane and we can make this work together, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yep. Yep. And then I wanted to bring it back to before we end this call, because a lot of you guys mentioned how money isn't important. But do you think that if
It's important.
and
It's important.
it is important, but it's
It's
not
not
the most
number
important
1.
thing. Yes, that's right. It's not the most important thing. So do
Because
you
we should have
think
had statistics on how marriages are divorcing, because like
that's
finances is
finances?
definitely,
Yep. Right.
like that's a high cause, you know, for you know, like divorce rates. So it's on the list, but I just say it's not the number 1 thing.
Yeah, and I definitely, so I was going to bring it back to so I know some people might hear this conversation and think, well, if you're not willing to date outside of your education and professional level, then are you looking for someone to financially take care of you, so therefore are you being a gold digger, you know, like somebody, I'm just saying, just to put that perspective in there, like if someone looks at this and says, hey, okay, so they're not willing to date outside this, are you being a
I
gold
think
digger?
we all said we're willing to date outside of our educational
Yeah, I think so too.
professional level, though.
I think so too. I think so too.
It's not somebody broke for me.
Yes.
Or a felon.
Or a
Or felon, right.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm
I just feel
I'm
like
kidding.
how can I be a gold digger when I'm already bringing 6 figures to the table? Like, you know,
We
my
got 7
car
figures out
outside
there.
is paid for. You know, my you know, and like you said, and then and there are some men who are okay, like perfectly okay with being like, you know, I come in with all this money and I want to take care of her. You know, but I'm not looking to be a kept woman. I'm looking to keep my career. Like, I didn't go to school to get a master's to get married, and which we do know lots of women do that. So there are women who enter a profession just to get a man and then have kids and then they at the house chilling.
Yeah.
No, that's not part of the plan here. I plan on to continue to work. I mean, if I get a man who, you know, make more money than me and, you know, he paying all the bills, then my money going in the bank. So that, let's say he, you know, he's an entrepreneur and, you know, he doesn't have a degree, and there's, you know, like how now we in a pandemic, I'm still working. So we could be living off of my money. You know, while you know, like while your business is maybe, you know, taking a hit right now during the pandemic, you know, but you got to be in a relationship with somebody that's confident with that, because that could, depending on a man, his ego may be so fragile that, going through the pandemic and now my business is suffering. I don't have any money. It's like, but we partners. Like, I'm still working, like, again, I'm in the medical field. So my check is still being cashed. So we're going to live off of my money until you can get back on your feet. And that's okay. But he's got to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of men just are not.
I think that's a hard thing to ask though, because if you are somebody that, like, if you are a man that was used to making six figures and then something happens and you don't, and now your girlfriend or your wife has to take care of you, I think that it is a natural thing to feel like, man, this is not something I'm comfortable with. And because they're not comfortable with it, it might come out in the relationship where it kind of gets a little fuzzy.
Right.
One thing for him to be uncomfortable with it, but again, would that be something that might end the marriage? When
it depends on how far you go down that lane, because I could say for myself, like, if I'm used to being independent, like I support myself, but if I had to depend on somebody else, I would feel not confident about myself. I would not. So I can't expect a man to feel like, oh, okay, it's okay, I'm okay, I'm confident. I think that could be a lot to ask.
And you want to make sure you're not bruising someone's ego too. So I know that sometimes if there's some people that will get in these situations and they can take advantage of that sensitive ego, and so it's careful, like I said, it's important to build somebody up and not bring them down, especially when they're feeling like that. And that's what I think, like in marriage, you kind of have that understanding, there will be times, because there will be times where I may be on top and there will be times where you may be on top, but we're in this together. And so that's what I think. Dating and marriage is two completely different things. It's because if you're committed to somebody enough to marry them, you're saying, like the vows say, through sickness, through health, through wealth, through not wealth. So you're willing to stick through it. So like, and if you really, 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 have that firm foundation, and so if you go in it and for all the wrong reasons, that's going to come out. So, at some point it's going to come out. But if you are there, regardless of job status, regardless of, how much I make, how much you make, it's not a competition. We have an understanding. We are a partnership. Your money is my money, and I'm good with it, so.
And my money is your money.
And your money is, and my money is your money. Your money is my money. We're in a partnership. So I think those hard times, because there's like the thing about life. Life can change in the course of a moment. 2020, we saw that, and a lot, and then there's a lot going on. So like, once you're in that committed relationship, I think you should be able, if you truly, truly have a firm foundation, you should be able to weather through any storm.
Right.
So.
I think referring to your point about the gold diggers, I actually, I don't consider myself a gold digger. I don't need somebody who's making more money than me. It would be nice, but it's not a requirement. But I actually don't, it may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with people being gold diggers. I mean, some people have to use what they have to get what they want. And it is an exchange. It's not like these rich men are unaware that, you're 50 years old and you are with a hot 23-year-old. Like, if you were broke, are you trying to tell me that you think she wanted you? Like, they know exactly what is going on, right?
Yeah.
They're using you for money. You're using them for beauty. So who's the victim?
It helps his ego.
Right. Who's the victim?
At 72 years old with a 30-year-old.
So I'm not really sure why it's looked at as such a negative thing, because these men are very clear about what is going on. They're not being duped. And I think men will often say that they don't like gold diggers, but I think the fact of the matter is they can't afford gold diggers, because we see that when they get rich and they get money, they're going after these same women that are only dating men with money.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you do like gold diggers. That's exactly the women you want, but you're just upset because you can't afford them.
Yeah.
And I rest my case.
Right.
No complaint from the peanut gallery.
No complaint here. No complaint. Like if Idris Elba worked at Burger King, you know, would you be getting the Whopper and fries every day? Just
I probably would.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one right after this call. Like, I hope he on tonight. Look, I got to learn his schedule.
But you date him, I think that's where we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna end this conversation now. But does anybody have any final words before we go? And then we'll end with the shout outs.
I don't know. I guess we should talk about interracial dating on our next
Yes.
Zoom.
So our next Zoom cast will be on interracial dating. We already touched on it a little bit, but we can get a little bit more, dive a little bit deeper into it. We're going to shout out the Black Advancement. Go ahead and check them out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we hope you enjoyed this. Anybody else before we go? All right, well, then we're out. Peace. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.